Greetings, this is Sean, and today I'm going to be showing how I make this trestle table for my kitchen project. Leah shrugged and went over to the cook's table, the only heavy table in the kitchen. The others were trestle tables that could be cleared away easily. Chapter 6, Leering Stones. Welcome back. These are the parts that I'm going to be using for the table. There's the dimensions in both imperial and in metric, which, as I said before, I'm going to start doing that from now on. I'm just debating on which side I'm going to use for the tabletop, because one side was kind of dirty, and I'll put that on the bottom. What I'm going to do is I got my little bottle of tacky glue here, and I'm just going to glue up the skirting frame first, and the short pieces go on the inside of the long pieces for this. Doing here, like it says on the screen, I'm just using the grid pattern on my mat to make sure that it stays nice and square while it cures. Now what I'm going to do is I need to find the center. It says here. I was originally going to not do a voiceover, but I went ahead and doing it, obviously. Anyway, I've got a little trick to show you here. Okay, I'm going to try and explain this. I have a piece of wood here, just a random piece of wood, piece of scrap wood. And I'm going to try and find the center of it. Now, I don't know what the dimensions are, how wide this is. I could measure it. Now, this is for the imperial measurements, inches and whatnot, not for millimeters, not for metric. So I can measure it, and this turns out to be let's see, if I go to the 0, it ends up being 1 7/8 there. So half of 1 7/8 is what? That's what we're trying to figure out. What's half of 1 7/8? So 1 7/8 inches equals 15/8. Divide that by 2. Divided by 2 is the same as multiplying by half times 1/2. That means that this is 15/16 is the halfway mark. So we can go here to this is 30 seconds here, so this is 1/16 less than an inch, so that would be the halfway mark. Okay. Now another way that you can do this is, let's say that you don't have you have 16ths here. Those are 16ths. But another way that you can do this is, let me turn this over. If you don't know the width of it, if it's an odd measurement, you take the number. You know that it's less than 2 inches long. I'm going between the 1 and the 3 right now, but it's less than 2 inches. So what you do is you line up this edge here and this edge here on the same mark on both sides. So you just kind of move this along until the edges match on the same one here and here. See, it's 1/16 less there and it's 1/16 less there. Then you know that the number that's in between the 1 and the 3, which is the 2, that's your halfway mark. That's half the distance across there. So we can take another one. Let's take this one here, which I've not measured. And it's not very square either. Here, we'll use this one here. And we can see that it's more than 4 inches, but less, or 3 inches actually, because I'm starting on the 1. Let me start on the 0. So we know that it's 3, well, I just measured it now, it's 3.5 inches, which is an inch and 3/4. But what you could do is the halfway between 1 and 5 is 3. So you try to make this edge here and this edge here line up on the same dots here. So this line here is the 1/4 inch and this line here is 1/4 inch from 5. So now we know that the middle of it is right here in there. You don't have to know how long it actually is. So that would be the halfway mark. Could do that with anything really. Take this piece here, let me just break it off. We'll go from this line here. We want to go I want to go from this line here to the edge there to find out where the center is on that. So what we can do is, we know that it's less than 6, and well, since I'm starting on the 1, so I'm going to turn this around just because that's a flatter edge. So we know that it's between 1 and 6. So we can just move to where this edge here and this edge here are the same distance from the 1 and the 6, which is right about there. And then, oops, see, I've got 1, 2, 3 lines there and 1, 2, 3, so we just kind of make those just about the same, which is there. And then halfway in between those would actually be 3.5 here, because if that's 0 and 5, it's 2.5 because I'm starting on the 1. But if I move it down to the 0, we can see here, if I line it up between the 5 and the 0, we can move that to where it's just about the same distance. See, there's 1, 2, 3 lines, and there's 1, 2, 3 lines a little bit halfway, like that. And so now we see 2.5 inches between the 0 and 5. So that's how you can find the halfway mark if you don't want to measure it out. Figure out how the halfway mark is by doing math like that. Now, for the millimeters, people, you got it easy. We'll take this other board here that we did before, and all you have to do is just measure how long it is, which this one is 88 millimeters. So half of 88 is 44, and so 44, and you can see there that mark is right on the 44 mark. So you could still do it this way, but being that that's more accurate to use the millimeters, which I admit it does. Same with this one here. If I wanted to do it the same way, I'm going here between the 3 and the 5, which 4 is halfway in between 3 and 5 on this scale. I'm going to put these down in between here, and I can make a mark right there on the 4, and that would be the halfway mark for that. So anyway, I just thought I'd show you this little technique that I've known about for quite a long time, but I just never really used it until now, and wanted to share that with you. So hope this might explain what I'm doing in these scenes with the ruler and trying to find out marks and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, back to the show. Anyway, I hope that made sense. And here I am using that little technique. You can see there that I'm measuring, that distance there on the right from 3 to the mark there is the same distance as over there from the 1 to the mark. So between that point there and the 2 and that point there and the 2, that's where I need to mark the center. Okay, the reason why I put those center marks is I know that the skirt is 2 inches long. And so what I do is I put the mark on the number, the center mark that I made, and I go out 1 inch to one side and 1 inch to the other and make a mark on both of those sides. See, there's 1 inch from the 2, and there's another inch there, which my finger's in the way, from the 2 that way. I do that on the other side as well. Putting the center mark on the 2, going out 1 inch to the 3, and going out another inch the other direction to the 1. I just make a real light mark. You won't be able to see it very easily. And then I draw a line between those 2 marks. I know that that's one edge of where the skirting needs to sit. Same on the other side. Now I'm going to do the same for the short ends, and the one piece is 1 inch, and there are 1/16 of an inch in between, so that means that it's 1 inch and 1/8 long, and I'm just going to verify that because that didn't look right. So here I am remeasuring it, and it is 1 inch and 1/8 long. So then what I do is I go back and put the center mark on the, where's it at? I put it on the 1/2 inch mark there in the middle, and then I go out to the 1/16 mark on the side of each of the inch marks. If that makes any sense. So now I'm just checking to make sure that my marks were correct, which they are. And then it's time to glue it up. I'm just going to speed through this. My bottle got harder and harder to squeeze as the time goes on. I think I'm not going to use this little bottle anymore. It keeps clogging up. So anyway, here I am just gluing that on, making sure that it's nice and square. Now I'm going to glue the legs, and here you can see the bottle is starting to clog up on me. So I just squeeze a little bit of the tacky glue onto my mat. It'll wipe off. I'm not worried about it. Then just put a little bit on each leg and a little bit in each corner of the skirting, and that's how I glue the legs on. Really simple. Anyway, that is my trestle table, and I'll have to make another one, maybe 2 or 3 more of these. I'm not sure. Just depends on how much room. I talked to Mr. Wheeler, and he liked the way this one ended up looking, and so I'll probably make a couple more of these for the kitchen once I get it all built. And I also need to make a cook's table, which will be a little bit bigger than this, as it showed in the introduction. So that'll be another video, of course. So here I am just making sure the legs are square after curing, which they looked about right. So anyway, hope this was somewhat informative, and hope you enjoy what I'm doing. Please leave your comments below, as I always read all of them. And have a better day, as I always say.